Hi, we're Chris,
Mao,
Caroline, Jasmin,
and we're
Family Detour.
We left our home in Maryland to go on a North American epic adventure to see our beautiful parks, meet fascinating people, and explore interesting places. Thanks for coming along.
On a mild and sunny Saturday morning in October, we rented a mini country van, said goodbye to our not as nimble RV, and set our sights on the Columbia River Gorge just outside of Portland, Oregon. Our first stop on the Columbia River Highway was at the Portland Women's Forum State Scenic Overlook, which gave us our first glimpse of the majestic Columbia River Gorge with the Vista House in the distance. The mighty Columbia River divides the states of Washington and Oregon. Both sides are quite nice from this viewpoint, but we stayed on the Oregon side, which offers the historic Columbia River Highway with the popular waterfall attractions. From our first overlook, we drove to the historic Vista House, where we took in more of the scenery. Like the other 100 tourists, we shot a ton of photos and selfies and shopped at the visitor center store. We chatted with a friendly staff who shared stickers, stamps, and information about the attractions, waterfalls, and hikes. Built in 1918, the Vista House was meant to be a comfort station for travelers with the goal of inspiring them and making the gorge accessible to them. It is situated 733 feet above the river and overlooks the busy I-84 highway. After about an hour at the Vista House, we were off to see the gorge, except that we only drove slowly past and gazed lazily upon the falls, going straight to the end of the attractions, the Bonneville Dam. Since it was the weekend, we knew the falls would be busy and the parking would be limited, and they were. So we skipped the falls early and headed for the dam. At the Bonneville Dam Visitor Center, we learned about the features of the dam and its role in the salmon life cycle. After being at sea, adult salmon return to the Columbia River to spawn the next generation of salmon. The dam and nearby fisheries help keep the salmon eggs in a safe environment until the baby fish called fry are ready to venture out on the river, eventually making their way out to sea when they're big enough to handle the sea.
Look at this maze that the fish have to swim through. So the fish will climb up the ladders and then they redirect them into the narrow passageway and then they go through the maze over there.
We even interacted with a salmon life cycle simulation where we usually ended up dead before we could head out to sea. We did survive a couple times, but boy, was it tough to hide from predators and decide where to go when danger is all around. Poor salmon fry. In one of the exhibits of the dam, we enjoyed watching live salmon and other fish of all sizes swim past swift currents to get upstream. In another, we watched adult salmon jumping out of the water, doing flips in attempts to reach their spawning grounds.
Leaving the Bonneville Dam and we're heading towards the fishery. So we're going through their lot.
As we were heading out Bonneville Dam, we were lucky that the swing bridge was open as a barge went through.
Koi, these are the type of fish that have.
We learned more about the salmon life cycle at the Bonneville Hatchery we explored next. We met the famous Herman the Sturgeon, who weighs in at 500 pounds and is 11 feet long. There were plenty of other big sturgeons sharing the pond with Herman. These huge, gentle creatures were a sight to behold.
He looks like a grandpa. He is.
Wow, that's a nice close-up look.
Like he has octopus tentacles. He's like, hey, get a shot of me.
On Herman, 80 years old.
No, they really try. They did, oh my, that's so good. No, that face is good. By your foot.
Whoa.
I live up here, Herman. I'll give you a sacrifice, and it's a big one. Oh my gosh, that's way bigger than ever. Why does he have a scrape on?
So Herman is an 80-year-old sturgeon, and he is the oldest one, or the biggest one alive.
Look, he's so friendly. I'm jumping. How would you feel if you jumped?
What do you think of Herman?
He's kind of scary, but it's really cool at the same time. It's like watching a sea dinosaur in the water, and it's like 2 times bigger than I am. He's little, he's 3 times bigger than you.
There he is. Whoa, I see them.
Why are they stuck?
When they have a lot of energy, that's what they do.
Oh, I see them all over here. Oh my God. Yeah, but it's floating.
Hi, Tom.
Come on, here I am tired.
After watching a video at the Visitors Center, we learned that this is the end of the salmon life cycle. After they live out at sea for several years, they come back to spawn here. The hatchery harvests the eggs and grow the salmon fry, and the life cycle starts all over again.
You guys can do it. Come on, you can do it. No, guys, don't do it. Don't do it. Stop it. You're just gonna hurt yourself.
We're going through a fish hatchery here in Oregon, just outside Portland. We just finished a dam tour, and now we're looking at adult salmon.
When the older salmon come here to spawn, the workers take the eggs and the fertilizers from the females and males, and then they release them. Then they take the eggs and put them into large buckets because they're too delicate for them to handle at the moment. So after 45 days or so, they take the eggs with little dots in them, and those are the visible eyes. And they sort them, they put them in a machine to sort the good ones from the bad ones. The bad ones are about whitish, and the good ones are red. And even if the machine didn't do them all, they'll still do them by hand. So then after they sort, they'll count the eggs. And then once the eggs hatch, they'll put them into the little lakes that you saw over there. Once they do that, once they grow bigger, about 3 inches big, they'll release them downstream so they can go into the sea and grow larger. Once they do, they'll come back here to spawn again, and the cycle goes over again.
How many years do they take to grow as adults
Grow as
until they
adults.
start coming back? Chinook is about 3 to 4, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, so we just learned how the hatcheries were, and so we saw the adult spawning females and males, salmon over there. We'll post some videos of them jumping. So they harvest those so that they can get the eggs, they can get the sperm from the males, and then they mix those up, they fertilize them, and once they're fertilized and starting to grow, they put them in these holding tanks. So it's just a nice way to see the life cycle here. Looks like they're doing something over here. Maybe the timed feeding.
Since we started our day early, we still had time for a hike to a waterfall. We found one not too far from the hatchery, called the Wahclella Falls Trail. Now, hiking here is much different from other places we hiked at. The moisture in the air made the forest ground slippery and muddy, so we definitely had to watch our steps. This hike crowded up our hiking shoes more than all of our other hikes combined. Can't say the girls didn't enjoy slipping and sliding around while we were trying not to sprain our ankles. We lost count of the slugs and creepy crawly bugs we spotted. To the delight of the girls, they were everywhere.
Marsh. Passing through a really cool waterfall.
So this is how we end up. Shades of blue and gray. I feel just like an empty bottle. My dreams are undelivered.
Before returning back to Portland, we stopped for a scenic tour of the Bridge of the Gods located just north at the Cascade Locks. All in all, we had a great first day at the gorge and couldn't wait to come back for more.
Mind spins off and I am all derailed.